Good morning. My name is Henrietta Wiggins, and I am the Vice Chair for the Tri-County SCORE chapter. SCORE is a national nonprofit organization with 350 chapters, over 13,000 members throughout the United States. SCORE is dedicated to helping small businesses start, grow, and succeed. We are a resource partner with the Small Business Administration. In collaboration with the SCORE chapters today from Bucks County, Chester, and Delaware counties, we service all business owners and entrepreneurs throughout our counties. Our chapters are made up from members with experience in all facets of business. We offer free mentoring services as well as educational seminars and workshops. Today's webinar will close sharply at 10 a.m. this morning, and I would like to remind you to register for our future series as outlined by our speakers on our panel today. Right now, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce our moderator for today, Adrienne Turner. She is anything. Her motto is anything is possible. Adrienne is award-winning leadership coach, author, speaker, professional development trainer, business consultant. She is the owner of Turner Coaching, Training, and Consulting, which is a national certified minority-owned business enterprise. Clients of hers include organizations in financial, real estate, energy, pharmaceutical, healthcare, marketing, food service, government, law, nonprofit, on and on and on. So I put you in the hands of a very capable moderator. Everyone, please welcome Adrienne Turner.
Good morning, everyone. It is such an honor to be here to support women-owned businesses through SCORE. Thank you, Henrietta, Charlie, Linda, and everyone involved. I started my entrepreneurial career after 23 years in corporate America with the services and support of SCORE, SBA, and SBDC. So I know firsthand how helpful, useful, and important the mission of SCORE is, and all the tools and resources have been of extreme value, not just to me, but many, many other business owners. So I'm glad that we're talking about this because we're hearing a lot of noise, right? We're hearing a lot about what's happening to women businesses based on COVID. So here's some statistics to get us rolling. There's a poll that showed that the virus disproportionately affects female-owned small businesses. They have been impacted more than male-owned small businesses, and women-owned businesses are less likely to anticipate a strong recovery in the year ahead. This is based on a special report on women-owned small businesses from the United States Chamber of Commerce. And the report highlights things like how men are more optimistic, how they're putting money into investments, and they are planning to staff and hire more. So we are going to talk about some things today to support you so that we can have the tools that we need so that we can take the steps to be more supported during this environment. So the first question that we have, we'll go to Denise Williams, but we're going to first ask all of our panelists to introduce themselves. So we'll start with you, Denise.
Thank you, Adrienne. Good morning, everyone. I'm Denise Williams, the founder and CEO of Be Resilient, Healing Through the Arts. I am a mother of two amazing young adults, as well as an entrepreneur trying to navigate these uncharted times. Because of the challenges that I've overcome, I am passionate about helping others and sharing strategies I have researched and developed and found successful when overcoming adversity. I'm a creative mind that has always found art as an outlet for practicing self-care. And through this, Be Resilient and the idea of creative art wellness workshops was created. I'm excited to share more with you through this presentation and again on November 18th, and I'll be talking about it's okay not to be okay. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you. Major Ben.
Ben Brooks, a retired major of the Pennsylvania State Police. I came in as one of the first African Americans to join that force, and I rose to the rank of major. My last 5 years there, I was in charge of affirmative action and contract compliance, dealing with diversity and inclusion. Also, we were part of an interagency task force dealing with diversity and inclusion and its relationship to hate crimes, and we're teaching law enforcement and correction officers throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I retired in 1992 and started my own business, Major Ben's Consulting, still talking about diversity, sexual harassment, dealing with difficult people. 2008 and 2010, all 600 judges of the minor judiciary had to go through my course on how to deal with difficult people and diversity as well. And we're starting our second round with them now and dealing with unconscious bias in the workplace. And I'm happy to be with you this morning to share what we have going.
Thank you so much, Major Ben. Sonia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sonia Smith. I'm the Public Information Officer for the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Eastern Pennsylvania District Office. So I am thrilled to be participating with one of our resource partners, SCORE. If you don't know much about SBA, we are a federal government agency. We have 68 district offices throughout the U.S., including Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And in Pennsylvania, we have the Eastern Pennsylvania office where we're located in King of Prussia, and then our sister office in Western Pennsylvania in Pittsburgh. And our role is to do outreach, education to small businesses, entrepreneurs, artists, makers, nonprofits, people who want to start a business, to provide them with the tools necessary to start, grow, expand, and even in times of the pandemic, to recover.
Thank you so much. Now, some of you may have seen on the invitation that we were expecting Kim. She had an emergency, so we're very grateful that Sonia was able to step in so quickly. And last but certainly not least, Jennifer, please introduce yourself. Unmute.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Jennifer Gardella. I am a social media and blogging consultant, and I started my business to get small business owners out of overwhelm when it comes to all aspects of digital marketing. And then on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, I handle blogging and social media for a small book of clients.
Thank you so very much. So we're going to get down to some of the questions to our panelists. And again, panelists, remember, if you want to add to that question, just give me a hand signal so that we can make sure that you're participating as well. So the first question is for Denise. What does the new normal mean to you?
I'm glad you asked that. And in this time, it's the normal for me is whatever is normal in the moment. So for me, life continues to throw me personal challenges that each day I have to adjust to a new normal. And I'm sure many of you out there can relate to that. That's what everyone is really going through. I have ways to continue to be resilient as my normal personally and professionally consistently changes. So it's not a long, lengthy answer, Adrian. It's short and sweet.
All right. Major Ben, what does the new normal mean to you?
Well, for one thing, it means that I don't have to do a lot of traveling. And the pandemic has changed everything for everybody. My most success I have is when I'm able to be in front of the audience, but we find right now that's not possible. But what I'm finding on Zoom is that we are finding ways to make things happen. Part of what diversity is about is really being able to adapt and be able to adjust. The key question right now is how are we still going to be able to make the connection with the people we're trying to impact or influence? And that change, the change has been good in so many ways, you know. So right now it's a good thing for me now.
Mm-hmm. I agree. The change has been good in some ways. To me, we're all on like the same playing field now. You know, the playing field has been leveled. So it does present an opportunity for growth in some ways. Kim, how about what does a new normal I knew I was going to call you Kim. Sonia, what does the new normal mean to small businesses from your perspective?
Sure. So, our role is really to help businesses pivot, get through all of this. What we're finding out, two things. We have had loan programs like the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which is still going on, PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, which closed, providing that emergency capital to small businesses to making sure they're able to survive, they're able to pivot, they're able to recreate themselves. And also we're finding that there are pandemic entrepreneurs, believe it or not. People are seeing that in today's challenges, there are opportunities. And we're here both to support people who are looking at these opportunities, finding a way, hey, there's something that I'm able to do, a service or a product that I can provide, start a business, and also making sure that our small businesses, women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, in rural areas, in urban areas, are able to pivot, thrive, and survive.
Yes, thank you so much. Dr. Jen, how can small businesses find ways to compete in this environment?
Well, the new environment has caused, for me, a complete shift in mindset. You have to shift your mindset from one of what is going on and how am I going to survive to one of utter abundance. There's nothing but opportunity available to us. And I went through a drastic change at the beginning of coronavirus personally, which kind of, was a major upheaval. And I said, wow, how am I going to do this? I don't know, but I'm going to get it done. And the opportunity in front of us is that you have nothing but opportunity. But I think what's going on in the marketplace right now is you have to have such a clearer idea of who your ideal client is. Yes. So many people are calling me. I want to start I want to start blogging. I want to start social media. And the first thing I ask them is, who's your ideal client? Are you B2B? Are you B2C? Who's your market? And if they say everybody with a credit card or a ability to write me a check, they are really missing the point. And I think one other question that I love to ask potential clients is, what problems do you solve? We're so used to kind of throwing our expertise out there. And I work with a lot of lawyers, right? So they love the legalese. Oh, let me show you how brilliant I am about practicing law. You know what? The average person that needs legal services does not care how many fancy big words you know from your law books. They want to know that you can solve their core pain. And that is where every small business needs to sit right now. What's the core pain? And lastly, I'll just say, I don't have the stat written down, which is funny because I have a PhD in stats, but I never really believe them. But I did just read somewhere that many restaurants are actually thriving in this new economy. They're doing better with takeout than they were doing before the pandemic with sit down. And they're like, we don't really need to open. So if a restaurant doesn't need to reopen its doors to thrive, that is an opportunity for any small business out there.
Yes. And I will say, for the businesses that I have seen that have been thriving through this environment, again, as Dr. Jen said, they understand their customer, but they've also been speaking directly to that customer, and they have, as you mentioned, found the ways to get their services and prove that they are valued to those individuals. Everyone, we do have poll questions as well. So those questions will launch. They are based on a submission from our panelists. We want to get to know you a little better, but we also want to have an opportunity to get some feedback from you that we can provide responses more clearly in this discussion for you. All right, our next question, I'm going to go to Denise. How can businesses manage through the changes while maintaining a healthy mindset?
I think one of the first steps in that process is acknowledging the change is hard. Change can cause a breakdown in communication, a breakdown in relationships, and being able to take steps to approach it with empathy. One of my favorite quotes Adrian, is by John Rohn. And he simply says, as a leader, you should always start where people are at before you try to get them where you want them to go. So the first step of acknowledging is key to get your organization where you want it to go, especially in this time. Once that step is done, then it's time to take some actions and notice what trends are you seeing? Is there a high call out rate? Are you noticing errors in your performance or your employees' in performance? And is it impacting your customer relationship? So what is this time doing with your relationship and your one-on-one interactions with your clients? And then it's important to reflect on these things and find ways for your organization to overcome these challenges. And one way that comes to mind, I don't know, maybe I'm a little biased, is creative art wellness workshops, and allows you and your staff to take a moment just to step back and reconnect, take time to breathe. So I guess this is a great time just to do the poll. My poll is everyone breathing?
And while we wait for those poll questions, you really hit on some key points, Denise. It is important at this time that not only we are managing our own mindset, but we are mindful of the impact that these changes and challenges are having on our team members. When I began, I started with some statistics that shared the difference between men and women and how we're responding. And one of those statistics shared that staffing plans diverge, which means that the women-owned businesses are not looking to hire more individuals as much as the male companies. So when we're talking about a healthy mindset, if we're going to be bringing in new individuals, we have to make sure that we are mentally and performance prepared to support those individuals.
Right, I agree. And maintaining a resilient culture within your organization, that is what's going to take it from, are we going to overcome this time, or are we going to be able to stay for the long term? That culture within the organization is really important. And as you mentioned, especially when you're bringing new people in, you want them to adapt to the culture of the organization, not you adapt to whatever they're bringing into your organization. So you want to have that strong foundation.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Sonia, would you mind sharing a bit more about the types of funding and resources that are offered to women-owned businesses? I will preface by saying that when the pandemic hit, I'm sure like many other business owners, I was like, my business has been impacted more than 50%. So I was like, where am I going to get money to maintain operations? And I was on the computer applying for the PPP, the EIDL, all of that. I listened to hours and hours of teleconferences and talking to my bank and talking to my financial advisor. What can you share with us to support us from the funding aspect?
Sure, absolutely. So for those of you that are still looking for SBA emergency capital programs, the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, is still open and available. Just like Adrian mentioned, it is for operating expenses. So it's to keep your business afloat. So I would encourage you to go to sba.gov/coronavirus or just sba.gov. And it's an online application, very simple. The program is still open. In regards to PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, that program has closed. For those of you that are wondering about the forgiveness process, SBA is offering various webinars to let you know on the way to process the forgiveness application. In fact, we just released a new one, Form 3508S, for those small businesses that receive PPP loans under $50,000. Basically, you just submit all the documentation on how you use the funding to your lender. And remember, with PPP forgiveness, you do want to work with your lender. So we also have current programs that are still available. We have our microloan program, which is based on mission-based nonprofit lenders. They're all located in communities. Their target market is women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned small businesses, startups. These are loan programs that offer up to $50,000. Plus, they also provide free technical assistance to businesses both before you get the loan and during the whole time period that you have the loan to make sure you're successful. Of course, we have our 7A program and also our 504 loan program. I always tell people, don't get confused with all the different loan programs that we have. What's best for me? What I encourage you to do is work with one of our resource partners like SCORE, like our small business development centers, like our women's business centers, to help you develop a good business plan, to help you understand either your financials or if you're starting your projections, because that's what the lender is going to look at. And then when you meet with a lender, you want a loan. It doesn't matter if it's an SBA guaranteed loan or a regular bank commercial loan. We want you to get the financing that you need. But before you get that financing, you really need to work with one of our resource partners to get the business plan, the marketing plan, what your company is about, and basically also how you're going to repay that loan so the lender can make that determination.
Yes, thank you so much. I want to reiterate how important it is to develop a relationship with your bank. I'm very thankful that I had done that previous, because I think I would have been one of those people who was more challenged in getting funding. But my bank knows my name, and that's important, that you have that good relationship with your bank. Thank you so much. Very helpful information. Okay, I got doctors and majors all over the place.
Major doctor.
Why is diversity so important to small business success?
It is at the cornerstone of every business out there, because realize right now the world is getting very, very diverse. And if you are not able to connect with the customers you're trying to impact or influence, it's going to be very problematic. If you look at what we're happening right now, women businesses, for example, we talk about the challenges that you have. The big advantage that you have is that you have a strong emphasis on relationships, and this is what this is really all about. How you deal with those kind of relationships, and in that workplace right now with this business, one of the challenges that now is that you have those blind spots that you have to deal with right now that impact your business. And as we talk about things like bias and that kind of stuff within the workplace. So it's so important that diversity is an integral part of you. You are not going to be in business unless diversity is a huge part of it. Think about it this way. Research has indicated that in bias, for example, in business all across the board, there's around $450 billion because of disengagement. So the question is right now, how are you going to bring those people together? And so for those individuals who do not want to embrace diversity, they're going to be courting disaster.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And may I add, I'm going to stretch it a little bit, but I think it's also if you're a solopreneur like I am, well, not really. Okay. Well, anyway, if you are a woman in business and you have a small number of employees, what I found is helpful to have diversity among my resources or support team. So I've created my own board of advisors. So there is a male that helps me with strategic decisions. I have a female that helps with my marketing. So not just diversity in terms of gender or race, but also in skill set is very helpful, because as a woman-owned business, I can't know everything.
And that's important, because we talk about diversity and inclusion, and folks have said, well, and we have a diverse force because we have blacks and whites, males and females, and so they're all included. The question is right now, are they actually going to be at the table participating? And as a small business, when you're able to utilize those resources that you have, that makes a huge difference. I know even as a trainer, we go out and we start doing training for different organizations, and the presenters have to have a diverse presence there, because if the key here is you have to be able to model what it is you want folks to do out there. And in its businesses right now, we are really not always utilizing the resources that we have at our disposal. The question is right now, there's so much talent out there, and so many people feel that I can do it myself. And I found that early on, trying to do it myself was a disaster. So when I can pull folks in who have the kind of expertise that I don't have, that makes me a heck of a lot more effective than I would be all by myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on some projects, it can be project by project. Even if you're, looking to grow your business, grow with someone else. In this time, I've seen a lot of collaboration. Have you noticed that, Denise, where, women are joining together and saying, hey, I sell flowers and you sell pens and pads, and let's bundle trying to survive.
Yes, definitely. And that support and that mentorship, and as you said, having that behind the scenes support of a diverse group is something that has helped me as I've worked through Be Resilient. I don't know how I would have been able to make some choices without some mentorship of key people that has said, hey, I did it this way, try it this way, or given that just a little bit of advice to help move the process forward. So I agree.
And one of the things, Adrian, as we look at that, I was with the Mainline Chamber for a while, and I started looking at how we do business with the Chamber. And I said to them, if Chamber members would do business with each other, a lot of work. Women-owned businesses, if you can find ways to connect with other women businesses and do business with them.
Yes.
Women are great at building relationships. And this pleases me to no end, because I see why you can be so successful, but I think you have to expand that and be able to reach out more, because the more because think about this, women drive more of the major decisions in business than men do, but we have not realized that yet. But so it's a strength that you have that you really have to amp it up and utilize that.
Very key point. Relationships matter. So start building those relationships with other small women business owners, relationships with your bank, build relationships. Dr. Jennifer, okay, I know you are really famous nowadays because everything's online. So people are probably ringing your phone off the hook because they need to be able to have a presence, maybe a different presence in the marketplace at this time. So what are some of your top marketing strategies to navigate in this climate?
Well, the number one thing, and I joke often when I say this, as I looked at the participant list for today, a lot of people in this group that are here with us, I actually know they've heard me speak before. And I actually looked up and they're still not doing much online. So the first thing that you really need to do is you need to jump way out of your comfort zone. I often, when I speak to groups, I hold up the phone book, right? How many of us started our businesses and we were like, oh, I'll just use the phone book. This is fabulous. Well, the phone book doesn't exist anymore. So if you're looking for that, we're in a very new normal, and really the digital space, unless you want to do print mail and get in someone's mailbox, the digital space is the only way to go. So you have to leap out of your comfort zone. You have to get clear again on your ideal client and your messaging. You have to start writing. I love when I work with professors and they get so angry because, they're like, hey, I'm an accomplished professor here at XYZ University and no one knows about me. I'm like, because all the journal articles on your wall, in your bookshelf, they're not in the digital space, and that's where everyone is these days. So stop being mad you don't have a big digital presence and build one. When I started in the business, if you Google Jennifer Gardella, there was nothing there. And I was furious. And my business coach looked at me and said, well, you haven't done anything. If you want to be in the digital space, which is the only place you need to be right now, honestly, start learning. And then also stop learning. There's so many of us believe, and I call it analysis paralysis, and I'm the queen of this.
If you're the queen, I'm the princess.
So let's have this massively detailed list of everything that we need to do, right? And let's learn from 25 experts and let's read 100 blogs. And then by the time we're done with that, we're exhausted and we don't do anything. So one thing that I'm really going to focus on in my workshop in January is here's the overarching theory, but let's get tactical. Let's boots on the ground. What are 5 things that you can start doing today to start building your digital presence for your business?
Absolutely. And you started with get out of your comfort zone.
Oh my gosh.
For some of you that might know me, you probably seen that I have a big online presence, but I'm going to just throw out my business here and say, every single time I turn on that camera to do a Facebook Live or video, I am hyperventilating beforehand. It is scary.
Well,
But I do it anyway. You can't see it in my videos, but behind the scenes and in my head, I'm just like, Adrienne, just do it. You have to move forward. Go ahead, Jennifer.
And I am so proud of you. When I used to speak in public, do a lot of public speaking before the pandemic, I would say, what's the #1 golden rule of doing any video? And people would say, perfect camera, background, your script. And I would say, no, once you shoot your video, once you have your content, don't watch it. There's no bigger critic than yourself. You already know if you've got your content nailed. So don't watch it, because what as women do we do? Oh, look, my hair's out of place, or I squinted there, or I stammered over. No one cares. They want your authentic expertise. How do you solve their pain? And if you don't believe me, go on my YouTube channel and you will see a whole lot of great information and a ton of imperfection. It's almost my specialty. It's
Okay,
just me.
Do I have the emotions? We don't have the emojis down here. I wanted to give you like the thumbs up hand clap, but I don't see that down the bottom.
Golf clap. We can do the golf clap.
All right. Denise, did you want to add to that?
I did. I think, Jennifer, you hit it the nail right on the head. And I think one of the main things I noticed when I was starting is the fact of the fear of failure or the fear of making a mistake. So I'm an internalist perfectionist that has a hard time rereading my own materials. And then I read it after I post it. I'm like, oh, who wrote that? I'm so embarrassed. But it's, and it's the fear of, oh, I made a mistake, but I have the next thing to do. But here's an overcoming that fear of it's okay not to get it right the first time. And you go back in WordPress, make that adjustment and keep on moving. So I think that's one of the things that probably for the digital world, as you're saying, that kind of intimidates people, because once you put it out there, you kind of think it's out there, but you can correct your mistakes. I know I've learned that.
As it turns out, spelling mistakes, to your point, can be corrected. People love to bust on me for my spelling mistakes. I'm highly dyslexic. I don't spell well. That's why I have editors. But if I do something quickly on my own, I'm like, okay, look at the brilliance. Stop looking at the fact that I don't know how to spell receive.
Look at the heart. That's what I always say. Read my heart, not the words.
Hold on, Ben's about to bust. He needs to say something.
Major Ben.
No. I think what you're saying is on point. And one of the things that's interesting here is that what is it that's going to keep you in the loop? Like people are looking for you. I remember I used to pass out pens, and I had this I gave this lady one of these pens, and she says, Major, you can't give that. Those pens are so expensive. I said, yes, they are. I said, but see, if those pens are in my closet, no one knows that. And so you have to, and the other thing that I think is important as you talk about relationships and in your presence, I just say to people, if you really want to know how important you are in this world, Google yourself. If nothing comes up, you got a problem. And the thing that is interesting here is that we are in business, and it's particularly in women's businesses, we said, well, you're competing with so-and-so and so. You're not competing with anybody but yourself. Because if you want to compete with everybody else, you only want to be as good as them. And the question right now, what is it that's going to distinguish you from the pack?
Yes. That's marketing 101, that's business 101. You need to understand what is your value and then be able to communicate that. But as Dr. Jen said, you've got to know who you're communicating to. And if you can get laser focused, I am pivoting like everybody else. And you know what I said to my advisor the other day? I said, I'm not looking for new connections. I've got 10,000 people I'm connected to. I'm just going to start working my way through those connections I already have. and ask them how I can serve them better. That's one place that we can start. Dr. Jen.
Yeah, so one thing that I started at the beginning of the pandemic was I went to my top 100 list. It's a huge marketing theory that's out there. I said, okay, I'm gonna have one call a day with some of these people. Some of them are nationally known, and some of them, you know, I always make the joke, the local pet chiropractor who I haven't seen in a while. And that putting that energy into your business, there's a magic to it. I can't run out to a networking event right now, which by the way is killing me. I would love to be going to 2 or 3 a week like I was. That's the one thing that I miss. But besides that, you know, actually getting out and talking to people, getting on the phone with individuals has brought so much into my business.
Yeah.
One a day, just do one a day.
Greater opportunities. Sonia, do you want to add something in here in terms of people finding the connections they need for the financial support?
Sure. You know, obviously, as I mentioned, you know, look to our resource partners to really help you. And, you know, just the takeaway in regards to cash flow, you know, people are always, you know, saying, hey, you know, I'm making sales, but at the end of the month, you know, there's like nothing left. How do I pay myself if I'm a solo entrepreneur? And that's where our resource partner like SCORE, our women's business centers, our SBDCs can really help you, because really you're going to be able to, you know, right now the holidays are coming up. People are thinking about, hey, I need money to market. Where am I going to find that money? So you really need to take a look at, you know, do you have inventory that's unsold? You know, what about your, you know, accounts payable? You know, are there any, you know, net 1030 that you may be able to get a discount if you pay earlier? And then people also forget about their account receivables. You know, go after the money that people are owed you. Find out, you know, hey, you know, I sent you a bill, you know, 45 days ago. You know, when are you going to pay? There are ways that you can find that money to help you with your marketing budget, set up your e-commerce website, get into social media, you know, get more sales. But again, it all goes back to working with the resource partners. Like somebody said, you started a business because you knew something, but you can't possibly know everything. You also can't possibly spend your whole life studying all these subjects. Go and work with specialists so you can save your time doing what you know best, and they can help you make your business even better.
Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up to take some Q&A, but I wanted to give you an opportunity. I'll go round robin to share about your series presentation. So for those of you who are on the call, remember that this is part 1 of a 5-part webinar series. And each of these wonderful individuals will be going more in depth on their topic of expertise. So Dr. Major Ben, will you please share with us what individuals can expect when they attend the webinar series that you are hosting?
You're going to, first of all, understand what diversity is all about and inclusion. You can also understand what unconscious bias is really all about and how it begins to impact you and your workplace. Also, you begin to realize that everything that I talk about, not only does it impact you at work, but it impacts you at home as well, because it's so intricately intertwined. And to try to give I call a common sense approach to it, because many people are coming out and all this fancy theories, but I want to, as Joe Madison says, I would like to put it where the goats could get it, so that you will clearly understand, you know, when somebody will say, well, I'm not a biased person, there's not a biased bone in my body, then you're dead. And the key question is to understand bias is not good or bad, it just is, and it's part of how we've been able to survive until this point. And to think about how it begins to impact our workplaces and the things that we do.
Thank you so much, Major Ben. Dr. Jennifer, what can individuals expect when they attend your webinar series? What's the date? Do you know?
I do. January 13th. Boy, am I prepared, right? So we will start with an overview of everything that you should be doing in the digital space, right? I want to give I don't really like to turn on the fire hose, but I tend to anyway and drown people. But I want to give everybody like, okay, what does the whole picture look like? And then based on where, I'm a big sit where you are at person, like just sit where you are at and acknowledge that. So where are you? And what are like 4 to 5 things that you can start doing, like I said before, immediately? And we'll go over all the standard questions. How often should I post? When should I post on LinkedIn? And at the end of the day, you just have to start posting. And that really will be the driving theory. So how do you start blogging? Quickly, like I can get you blogging in a couple hours, right? It's not that hard. You just have to make the commitment to do it. And I have tons of tips, tricks, organizational techniques to help, you know, anyone that attends get through it, because it's painful for a lot of people, and I know that.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Sonia, I think Kim will be hosting, but you got some ideas?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm going to throw some things out there. Obviously, with SBA, our loan programs, there's something called a lender match, which you can learn to find out how to get matched with lenders that can help you with funding your project. Also, other things that we do are government contracting. How do you do business with the federal government? What about certifications? It's becoming certified as a woman-owned business, or as a small disadvantaged business, or as a minority business, or as a service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. How do you get the certifications? How can they help you? Exporting. Obviously, we're all talking about e-commerce, getting online, which means that, guess what? You're open to the world. So how do you tap into selling your product and service to the globe, finding those customers everywhere? Also, learning more about our website. We've got a whole learning center on our web on sba.gov, different webinars that you can take on social media, on cash flow, on hiring a person. And also, we've just started a new part of our website, a recovery hub. Talks about funding options and counseling, resiliency, things on virtual learning, also supply chain management, workplace safety. We have a whole section for underserved communities, and also even things for faith-based organizations. So there is really a lot out there for you. And I don't know when Kim's workshop is, but I'm sure if you stay tuned, there's a lot out there for you to learn about all the programs and resources that are available through SBA.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to reiterate, I'm like the poster child for SBA and SCORE. You all have helped my business tremendously. And here's the thing, even if you have a established business, I go back. I'm like, you know what? My business is growing. Now I have a new set of initiatives that I'm trying to gain. So then I go back to the source. So I mentioned that to say, whether you're a new business or an established business, you can still benefit from all the wonderful resources of the organizations. Major Ben, will you share with, we're down to Denise.
Denise.
Well, first I want to say that my workshop is for everyone, not just women. So I know that we're focusing on women, but this is for everyone. So I don't want to get any mean emails from anybody saying, you didn't include the men need wellness too. You right. So everybody is invited to my workshop. You should come be expecting an engaging experience that will allow you to walk away with 3 main takeaways. But before I tell you the takeaways, let's just see who was breathing. So by the poll results, it was 74% of you guys are breathing out there and 26% of you aren't. So for those 26% that is not breathing, let's just take a moment and breathe. It may be the only moment you take today, but that's okay. So 4 takeaways that I hope you walk away with. One is, why is it okay not to be okay? What does that mean to you and we're going to do some self-reflecting. We're going to gauge where you are when it comes to wellness. So we're going to have some real heart-to-heart, come to Jesus moments with ourselves. We're going to learn about creative art wellness And what does that look like both on a personal level and a professional level? We're going to discuss the elephant in the room. So I'm sure everyone sees back here, resilient is spelled with a Z. You probably thought I would tell you that today. I'm not. You're going to have to come back on November 18th and listen to the webinar and see, why do I spell resilience with a Z? And what does that mean for your journey? And then I want you to give yourself permission to practice self-care. And when you practice self-care, you are appreciating your strengths and your weaknesses. You're forgiving yourself for stumbling and celebrating your accomplishments. And sometimes as professionals, that's like a little scary, you know? We're appreciating our strengths, but that weaknesses part is something that everyone steps back from. And lastly, we're going to have some stress management strategies and how to, again, breathe. So I look forward to presenting to you on November 18th. So make sure you register today.
All right. Thank you so much. Dr. Ben, did we need to read your poll question out? I don't know.
I didn't see it yet.
Okay. All right. So we do have some Q&A. How are we doing on time? Okay. We have 11 minutes and individuals submitted questions prior to during registration. So I'm going to review some of these. Okay. Sonia, SBA declined my application due to a limited credit history. What other funding options are there as foreign-owned corporation in the United States?
As a foreign-owned corporation, I would encourage you to work with your lender. First of all, go to annualcreditreport.com to find out, is there something on your credit report that is not yours? So you really want to do that first, okay? And then number two, work with one of our resource partners to take a look at your business plan, take a look at your financials, have a good understanding when you go meet with a lender to apply for funding.
Okay, someone asked, how do we connect with those resource partners? So I'm going to ask Henrietta and Charlie to put that information in the chat box, or do you want to say it out loud? Is it sba.gov? What is the?
Yeah, you can find all of our resource partners at sba.gov, and you can go on. You can go into local assistance and you put in your zip code, and then it brings up all of the resource partners that are near you based on zip code. But of course, everyone right now is, teleworking. So it really doesn't matter where you are. You can also take a look at our SBA resource guide. That is a magazine. It's a PDF on our website, sba.gov/PA. And there you can find an overview of all of the SCORE chapters in Eastern Pennsylvania, our women's centers, and also our small business development centers.
Thank you so very much. Another question that we have is, from a wellness perspective, how do you deal with the ups and downs with business? And I think we all can answer that question. You want to start, Major Ben, by saying how you handle the ups and downs of business?
Well, the thing of it right now, you have to be able to make the adjustment. I remember when before the pandemic hit, I started to look at my calendar, and my calendar looked like old Mother Hubbard's cupboard, And so you started looking at, well, what is it that I'm doing or not doing, And so we started to reach out, and I started making phone calls and started talking to people about what are some of the issues. And as a result of that, things started to happen, because right now, because if you look around, I think I have some expertise that a lot of people can use, because I bring kind of a realistic perspective to things out there. And as a result of that, things are starting to happen, and it's I'm forever adjusting. Another big adjustment now is to really begin to look at social media and all the technology there, because it's a huge challenge now, and particularly doing webinars and things like this, because it's a whole new phenomenon, that we have to really get used to it. So it's been a challenge, but kind of a welcome thing, because I don't see it as a problem as much as it is an opportunity to do something different. You know, like being on a webinar like now was all new, but to see we still can make the kind of connections, you know, by looking at how we begin to make that adjustment as opposed to being afraid of doing things like this.
Yes. Dr. Jennifer, how do you deal with the ups and downs from a wellness perspective?
So I have learned, to Denise's point before, I've learned the benefits of self-care. And self-care is not about bubble baths and manicures, because a nice bubble bath every once in a while is great, but I don't really go to the salon. So self-care to me has been implementing a routine.
Yes.
And getting, I don't want to use the word regimented, but every morning, wake up, make my coffee. Don't forget, you know, that's step number one, keep Gotham safe. Jen needs her coffee, but then it's, yeah, exactly. And then it's, you know, gratitude, affirmation, meditate. And as crazy as this sounds, I have started exercising in the morning. And to the people on here that know me well, that is like a coronavirus miracle. So, and it sets my day, because then there's no more stress. Like, when am I going to exercise? Eating healthy. That is a big piece of what I'm doing right now, because we're all going to go a little stir crazy, I think. And the healthier your body is, you know, well, not only will you be able to ward off whatever's coming our way, but you'll be able to handle challenges a little bit better.
Thank you. Denise. Okay, I was saving, you know, because this is all your thing, girl. I was saving you.
Thank you. And, you know, actually Jennifer said, I think she's like reading my notes, because those are all the things that I start writing down. So what's more to say? You know, Jennifer, you really, again, hit the nail in the head. And I really feel that being able to, that self-care piece is so important. And you're right. It's not, some people think it's the bubble baths and stuff. I mean, I would throw some aromatherapy in there. I would light some candles. You guys see, I got my candles back here, but it's so much more than that. And it's really important, because it will, if you don't take care of yourself and that self-care, it will impact the relationships, not only personally, but even professionally. And when you start impacting those relationships, and I think a key takeaway from this, from everyone, what everyone has said today, is about relationships, building those relationships and maintaining them. And if you don't have that self-care piece and able to take care of yourself, you're not able to foster good relationships and be able to feed into them that positive energy and receive the positive energy out of them. So I think we covered it.
Yeah. And I'll just add that sometimes it's a moment by moment thing. I teach on emotional intelligence. You got to be aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, so that you can change the channel or make the switch. So if you're sitting there and you're starting to feel yourself sink, you got to say, why am I sinking? And what can I do? And sometimes it's okay to sink. I told my husband the other day, I said, you know what? I have been very unproductive for the past 3 days. I just been laying on the couch. I just didn't feel it. And he said, well, you deserve it. I mean, because for 7 years, you were killing yourself 60 hours a week. So take the time, you know, we all need to take care of ourselves. All right. And I think we're going to go with one more question, and then we're going to turn it back over to SCORE. This one is recommendations to demo a product when in-person conferences and exhibit halls are all virtual or canceled. So I think the theme behind that question is, we are shut down and I can't do business as normal. What are some of my options for being able to share my wares? Yes.
So I just want to start off and say that there are some amazing individuals out there who are doing great things in the event space. That's how I interpreted this question. So many of my power partners, networking partners who were in events, including built their whole world around public speaking, have pivoted and are doing some pretty brilliant things out there. I would connect with other people like you to try to find your answer here, and to get together with a group of not competitors, but like-minded people to figure out the best ways for you guys to move forward. You're not the only, my best friend from college is in the same boat. Her company is completely event driven, and they are struggling to pivot. How do you offer karaoke over Zoom, for instance?
Yeah.
So when you're in those spaces of how do you exhibit your wares, you got to find out what other people are doing and learning and partner with them.
Absolutely. Sonia.
Yeah, I just want to add to that Temple University Small Business Development Center is a center for excellence for tourism and hospitality. And they're doing a lot of webinars, obviously all virtual, for businesses in this type of space, businesses that are used to doing events, businesses in hospitality and tourism. So I would encourage you to take a look at their website take advantage of their webinars, and even reach out to the consultants at Temple University Small Business Development Center to help you specifically.
Yes. And here's a little tip, okay? When you see the list of presenters, do not be afraid to look those people up on LinkedIn and contact them. I do that all the time. Sometimes I would attend a presentation because not that I needed to hear the information they were sharing, but because I was trying to connect with someone that was a part of that organization. So take advantage of that. I do know there's one conference program called Remo, R-E-M-O, and it is set up like you are in a virtual auditorium. They've got floors, you can do exhibit halls. So I just want to say there are tools out there as well. And now we are all done here. So I want to give you an opportunity to add any last minute pieces of advice that you have, maybe a sentence, and then we're going to turn it back over to Henrietta. Dr. Jen, your one piece of advice or.
Well, honestly, I'm looking through the Q&A and there's a lot of questions being thrown in my direction that we're not going to be able to get to. So if anyone has a question, they'd like to book a call with me, please feel free to do so.
Type in your email or website into the chat box, Dr. Jen.
Yes, ma'am.
Major Ben, what's your one takeaway or advice or pump me up quote?
As you were talking about touching base with those people that you try to connect with out there, in particular with marketing, make that phone call, call them up, because they welcome that call. And if you call a number of people, that's how you get yourself known, and they will help you market your product.
Absolutely. Thank you. Sonia.
Yeah, so obviously SBA, we can't help but promote our resource partners. You are not in this alone, and all of our resource partners right now through the pandemic are offering no-cost consulting, no-cost webinars. You're not limited to one resource partner. You can work with various SCORE chapters, various small business development centers, our women's business centers. Find what works with you, find that relationship. Take a look at the various offerings that are virtual, connect to get one-on-one consulting, and we're here to help you at SBA. I did put my email out there. Should you have any questions, concerns, anything like that, I certainly am available to help lead you to the resources and the programs that you need.
Thank you. And lastly, Denise, your one quote or piece of advice.
Breathe.
Breathe.
Self-care. Breathe. See you on November 18th.
Wonderful, everybody. In essence of time, I want to thank all of the presenters and especially the moderator. Wonderful job. Well done. I only have 2 minutes. As I stated earlier, we will be shutting down promptly, so I have to speak fast. Remember, SCORE is out here to help your business, and please visit us online. Today we did have Bucks County, Westchester, and Delaware counties represented in the collaborative effort to bring this to you. And we look forward to everyone will receive a copy. If you registered, you will receive a copy of today's event. And again, thank you for attending. And we have a lot of information that we'll be learning and hear about in the future months. Please go on and register to everyone's event. Put it on your line, network it out to all your friends or your family, everyone that you think needs to know all this information. Let's get it out there to them because they need to know how to move forward in the new norm, what's going on, what's going to happen in 2021. We're here to help them. SBA is here to help them. Ben is here. Jen is here. Denise is here. And of course, Adrian is always here. Thank you very much. And everyone have a good day. And we'll get your questions and your answers as well. And we'll have information for you with websites and contact information for all of our presenters. Wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
You're
great
welcome.
day.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, thanks, Henrietta. Great.